Hello guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to show you how to draft a shoulder dart bustier, and if this looks like something you are interested in, make sure you watch this video to the end so you don't miss out on any detail or explanation. If you are coming across this channel for the first time, you are welcome. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss out on any of my next video. Now let's get started with this video. I have my pattern paper and my drafting tools ready. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to roll an horizontal line at this top here. Now this horizontal line that I'm rolling is going to serve as the shoulder line or the starting line. So go ahead and do the same thing. Roll a line of about ½ an inch, and that line is going to serve as your shoulder line. So this line is the shoulder line, and this line right here is the center front. We are drafting the front pieces first. So after rolling the line, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark my neckline measurements. I'm going to be marking the standard neckline measurements. My neck width is 3 inches. I marked that. Then for my neck depth from the shoulder line, I came down by 3 inches and I marked that as well. Now I'm just going to use the curve ruler to connect the 2 points together to create a round neckline. After creating the neckline, the next thing is to mark half of our shoulder measurement. So on the shoulder line, you're simply going to divide your shoulder measurement by 2 and mark it. Now to slanting the shoulder, on this shoulder line, that is this point I marked half of the shoulder measurement. I'm going to come down by 1 inch and make a mark. After that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point to the neck width like this. Now from this point I mark 1 inch for the shoulder slant. I'm going to come down by 7.5 inches and I'm going to make a mark. This 7.5 inches mark is for the armhole line, and no, the armhole line measurement is not the same for everybody. Now to get your armhole line, you will simply divide your bust circumference measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Whatever figure you have, that is your armhole line measurement. Okay, now I use my ruler to connect this point horizontally, and this horizontal line is the chest line. After that, I went on to use the ruler to connect this point together on a straight line like this also, and this straight line here is the armhole line. Now to create the armhole curve, you will simply measure your armhole line, then divide it by 2 by bending the tape rule like this. You're going to mark the midpoint like this. Then from the midpoint, you're going to come in by ½ an inch and make a mark. Then here on the chest line, you're simply going to divide your bust circumference measurement, divide by 4 and mark it. After that, you will use your curve ruler to connect the 3 points together to create the armhole curve. Now let's mark all the vertical measurement. To mark the vertical measurement, you are simply going to place your measuring tape on the shoulder line like this. Then you come down by your bust point measurement, your under bust point, your waistline measurement. To get all these measurements, you have to measure it on your body or your client's body depending on who you are working with. So from my shoulder to my bust point is 10 inches. I mark that. Then from my shoulder to my under bust is 30.5 inches. I mark that. From my shoulder to my waistline measurement in front, because from the shoulder to the waistline in front and from the shoulder to the waistline at the back at the front. So for the front, I had 17 inches and I marked that. Now I'm just going to use my ruler to connect all these points I have marked on a horizontal line. After rolling all this line, I'm just going to label them. So here is the shoulder, here is the chest line, here is the bust point, here is the under bust point, here is the waistline. Now the next thing we're going to work on is the dart. So here on the bust point, you're going to divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2 and mark it. The nipple to nipple measurement I am working with is 7 inches. Divided by 2 is 3.5. So I mark the 3.5 on the bust point, and I'm also marking the same 3.5 on the waistline. After that, I'm going to connect the 2 points together on a straight line, and this straight line here is the dart line. Since we are working on a shoulder dart, on this shoulder slant here, you're going to measure what we have. When I measured this, I had 4.5 inches. So now I'm going to divide this 4.5 inches by 2 by bending the tape rule like this, and I'm going to mark the midpoint. After that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect this dart line to this point I marked on the shoulder slant. Now to contour the underbust, on the underbust line here on the dart line at the center front, I'm going to come in by ½ an inch. Then here on the side front, I'm going to go out by 1.5 inches. Now this measurement varies from person to person depending on your round bust measurement. Now I'm going to use my straight ruler to connect this point on the under bust to the waistline on a straight line like this, and I will do the same thing to the second side. I will simply roll a straight line from the under bust to the waistline at the center front. After that, I'm going to connect this line at the center front to the bust point like this. Then for this side front, I'm going to use the curve ruler and I'm going to connect this point from the under bust to the bust point like this. So go ahead and do the same thing. Now we are going to tighten the shoulder and we are going to be taking a dart from there, but before we do that, from the bust point here, I'm going to go up by 1 inch and I will make a mark. Then here on the shoulder slant, I'm going to come in by ½ an inch on the center front, and I'm also going to go out by ½ an inch on the side front. After that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point like this to this point that I came up by 1 inch on the bust point. I hope you understand what I'm doing right here. Now that we have taken the dart on the shoulder slant, we are going to replace it on the armhole. So the next thing is to measure this dart, and when I measure this, I have 1 inch. That is the amount of dart that I took on the shoulder. Then on the shoulder slant right here, I'm going to replace the 1 inch. After that, I'm going to use my straight ruler to redraw the shoulder slant. Then I will also use the curved part of the ruler to redraw the armhole, just as you can see. And that's pretty much about it. Now this first armhole we no longer need it. Now let's mark all the body measurements. Here on the chest line, you can see that we've already marked quarter of our bust circumference measurement, and whatever we have on the chest line is the same thing that is going to be on the bust point. So there is no need to mark the same measurement here on the bust point again. Then here on the waistline, I'm just going to mark quarter of my waist circumference measurement. You are simply going to divide your waist circumference measurement by 4 and mark it. Measure the dart that you took, then replace it on the waistline. After that, you're just going to use your ruler to connect the points like this to form the body shape. Now to take our side dart, because we are going to be taking our side dart on the bust point, I'm going to come down by 2 inches and I will make a mark. Now this 2 inches is the difference in measurement from my shoulder to waist at the front and from my shoulder to waist at the back. From my shoulder to waist at the front is 17 inches, while from my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 inches. So when you minus 17 from 15, we have 2 inches. That is how we come about the 2 inches. Now I'm going to cut through this side dart and I will close it. Closing the side dart is going to give the bust more structure, more defined structure. So cut through the side dart just the way you see me doing. After that, you're going to use your water glue or your masking tape, whichever one you have at the moment. Then you're going to use it to cover up the side dart just the way you see me doing. So this is what I have after I was done using my water glue to hold this side dart down. As you can see, this side line right here is no longer equal. So I'm just going to use my straight ruler to redraw the line. And that's pretty much about it. We are done drafting the front piece. The next thing we are going to do is to use our scissors to cut this out. The pattern for our front piece is ready, as you can see. Now I'm going to keep this aside while we draft the back piece. This is the pattern that I'll be using to draft the back piece. As you can see, I've already wrote a line, a straight line from top to bottom, and this line is about 1.5 inches wide. This line is going to be our zipper allowance, so I just went on to label that. Then on this top here, I went on to rule an horizontal line, and this horizontal line is going to serve as our starting line or our shoulder line, just as I did for the front piece. Now on this shoulder line or starting line, the first thing I'm going to do is to mark the neckline measurement, and the neck width measurement I am working with is 3 inches. I mark that. While for the neck depth, I'll be working with a neckline of 2 inches. Now I'm just going to use my curve ruler to connect the 2 points together to create a round neckline, and I will also extend this back neckline to the zipper allowance like this. After marking the neckline measurement, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the shoulder measurement. So still on the shoulder line, I'm going to mark half of my shoulder measurement. The shoulder measurement I am working with is 15. 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So I mark 7.5 on this shoulder line. And just like I did for the front piece, on this point I mark half of the shoulder measurement. I'm going to come down by 1 inch and I'm going to make a mark. Then I will use my ruler to connect this point to the neck width like this. That is our shoulder slant. Okay, now to create the armhole curve, on this point I came down by 1 inch from the shoulder line. I'm going to come down by 7.5 inches and I'll make a mark. I hope you all remember how we come about the 7.5 inches. You are going to divide your bust circumference measurement by 6 plus 1.5 inches. Whatever measurement you have, that is your armhole line measurement. Now I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point on a horizontal line like this, and this horizontal line is going to serve as the chest line. I will also connect this line on a straight line just the way you see me doing, and this straight line is going to be the armhole line. Okay, now I'm going to measure this armhole line, then I will divide it by 2 by bending the measuring tape like this. I will mark the midpoints like this. Then on this midpoint I'm going to come in by half an inch. Then here on the chest line, I will simply divide my bust circumference measurement by 4 and I'll mark it. Now I'm going to use my curve ruler to connect these 3 points together to create the armhole curve. Now let's mark all the vertical points. I'll simply place my measuring tape on the shoulder line like this. Then I'll come down by 15 inches for the waistline measurement. We don't need the bust point since we already have the chest line here. Like I told you earlier, from the shoulder to waist in front and from the shoulder to waist in back is totally different. Why from my shoulder to waist at the front is 17 inches, from my shoulder to waist at the back is 15 inches. So after marking that point, I'm just going to connect the line on a horizontal line like this. Now to eliminate any form of zipper bulge on the waistline, I'm going to come in by 1 inch and I'll make a mark. After that, I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point I mark 1 inch to the neckline like this. You can use the curvy part of your ruler to do this, or you can use the straight part of the ruler to connect the point. Either way, it's still fine. Okay, after connecting the line like this, now let's mark our dart. So here on the waistline, I'm going to mark half of my nipple to nipple measurement. The nipple to nipple measurement I am working with is 7 inches. 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. So I mark 3.5 here on the waistline. Now I'm going to use my ruler to connect this point to the chest line like this. For the dart leg, I'm going to mark half an inch on both sides, just the way you see me doing. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect this point that I mark half an inch on both sides like this to the chest line. Now the next thing we are going to do is to mark the body measurement. So here on the waistline, I'll simply mark quarter of my waist measurement. My waist is 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. So I mark 7.5 here on the waistline. Then this dart that I took, I'm just going to replace it back on the waistline. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect the 2 points together. That is from the chest line down to the waistline, just like this. Now I'm going to remark my zipper allowance. So I will simply place my measuring tape like this. Then the zipper allowance measurement I am working with is 1.5 inches. So I went on to mark 1.5 inches from top to bottom, just the way you see me doing. After that, I'm just going to use my ruler to connect the points like this. So here is my new zipper allowance, and I'm also going to connect this waistline to the zipper allowance just like this, and that's pretty much about it. Now I'm just going to cut this out. Now the back piece is also ready. To make sure that your pattern drafting and everything is okay, your side front and the side back is supposed to be equal. So I just went on to place the side front on the side back like this, and everything is equal. So make sure that yours is equal as well. Now I'm just going to label each of the pattern pieces. So here is my back piece and here is my side front, I label it as well. Then here is the center front, I label this as well. And these are all the pattern pieces. In my next video, we are going to transform this pattern to make this stylish dress that you see me putting on right now. For now, I'm going to stop this video right here. See you all in my next one.